Have you ever wondered why some souls seem to carry the entire weight of the moon within their hearts? Why their emotions seem to move the tides, whispering secrets the world is too afraid to hear? They call them fragile. They call them emotional. But what if the truth is much deeper, much darker, and infinitely more divine than anyone dares to admit? What if Cancer, the sign of the moon, the mother, the healer, is not the gentle creature you think it is, but the keeper of an ancient power that even witches fear to awaken? Stay with me until the very end of this journey, because what you are about to hear has been veiled by centuries of mystery. Most will never know the truth you're about to uncover, but those who do never see themselves the same way again. This is not just astrology, this is revelation, a secret written in starlight, buried beneath the tides, and pulsing through your veins right now. Before we go deeper, take a breath, feel it. That quiet rhythm within you that's not just your heart. That's the moon speaking through you. That's the ancient memory of Cancer calling you home. You are about to remember what the universe once whispered before you were even born. Cancer is ruled by the moon, the celestial mirror that never shines by its own light. It reflects, it absorbs, it feels. And that is where the illusion begins. Because what looks like softness hides a storm of sacred power. The world sees their empathy, but not their endurance. It hears their tenderness, but not the silent thunder behind it. Cancer's gift is not to feel, it is to transform what is felt into wisdom. For generations, mystics and witches have spoken of this sign as the guardian of emotional gates, the one who can travel between seen and unseen realms through the current of feeling. What no one tells you is that this gift has a cost. To hold such sensitivity is to carry both heaven and shadow inside the same heart. That is the hidden truth of Cancer, and it is only now, in this moment, that you are ready to face it. But before we reveal what lies within the lunar shadow, I want you to remember something powerful. You were never made to hide your depth. You were born to illuminate it. The world fears what it cannot control, and Cancer cannot be controlled. Its heart is a compass of divine chaos. It feels, it heals, it remembers. So, if while listening to these words something stirs inside you, a wave of recognition, a whisper of emotion you cannot explain, know this: it's not coincidence. It's your soul, remembering its own reflection in the moon. And as we open the first door into the truth that no witch wants you to discover, keep this intention close. To feel is sacred, to protect is divine, and to love in silence is the highest form of strength. Now, before we continue, write in the comments, "I feel the moon within me." The moon, she is beautiful, isn't she? Soft, glowing, and gentle. But look closer, and you will see something most people never notice. She does not shine by her own light. Her beauty is a reflection, borrowed from the fire of another. And this, my dear listener, is where the mystery of Cancer begins. Cancer, the child of the moon, carries this same secret. They do not simply feel emotions, they absorb them. Every laugh, every tear, every unspoken thought in a room flows into them like water into a vessel that never spills but never stops filling. They are the silent collectors of the world's emotional truth. Imagine walking into a room and sensing the tension before anyone speaks. Imagine knowing who is in pain, who is hiding, who is pretending to be fine without hearing a single word. That is what it means to be Cancer. Their intuition is not a skill they learned. It is a sacred inheritance, written in the lunar blood that runs through them. They do not read energy, they become it. And yet, this gift is not as light as it seems. To feel so much is to live in constant dialogue with invisible worlds. Their soul becomes a tide, pulled by forces that others cannot name. Some days, the ocean inside them is calm and radiant. Other days, it storms with memories that are not even their own. People often say that Cancer is nurturing, caring, protective, but the truth goes far deeper than the soft words written in astrology books. Their kindness is not naive. It is not simple sympathy. It is defense. It is the armor of a soul that knows exactly how dangerous the world can be. They love fiercely because they have felt the pain of loss more than once. They care for others because they know what it means to be unseen. And they protect those they love because they understand in their bones how fragile trust can be. Their heart is both sanctuary and battlefield. There is a reason witches fear Cancer. The moon does not need to cast spells. She is a spell. Her power is not in her hands, but in her silence. Cancer holds that same energy. They do not fight with force. They shift reality with emotion. When they walk into a space, they do not demand attention, they transform it. Every feeling they carry is a vibration, a current of invisible energy that shapes what happens around them. They can bring calm where there was chaos. They can awaken sorrow in those who have buried it for years. Their presence alone can mirror the truth of others so clearly that it becomes impossible to hide. But here lies the hidden cost. This constant reflection, this eternal empathy, comes with exhaustion that words can barely describe. Cancer often retreats, not because they are weak, but because they are full. They have taken in too much of the world, and they must return to their inner ocean to release it, to cleanse, to begin again. The solitude they seek is not isolation, it is restoration. Like the moon that vanishes for a few nights before she returns, they too must disappear to renew their light. So when the world calls them moody, it misunderstands the sacred rhythm of their being. They are not changing, they are cycling. Just as the moon waxes and wanes, so does their heart. Each emotion is a tide, each silence, a sacred pause before the next awakening. Their sensitivity is not a curse, it is communication with the divine. The moon speaks in waves, and Cancer listens. Through every heartbeat, through every tear, through every moment of stillness, they are guided by a cosmic memory that reminds them, you are not just human, you are the ocean remembering itself. Have you ever watched a storm approach the sea? The clouds gather, the wind howls, the ocean trembles, and yet, beneath the surface, something beautiful begins to form. That is what happens inside Cancer. What the world calls mood swings are actually sacred transformations, waves of emotional alchemy that few understand and even fewer can endure. Cancer possesses one of the rarest gifts in the zodiac, the ability to take the raw, unfiltered chaos of emotion and turn it into something luminous. When they are hurt, they do not simply break, they rebuild. When they lose, they do not wither. They root deeper into the soil of their own spirit. Their suffering becomes the seed of something extraordinary, something that glows softly in the dark. This process, however, is not gentle. To become light, Cancer must first dissolve in darkness. It is through their pain that they gain their power. Each heartbreak becomes a teacher. Every disappointment becomes a door to wisdom. Every betrayal, though cruel, becomes the sacred fire that forges their intuition. The truth is, Cancer's emotional depth is not meant for comfort, it is meant for transformation. They are not here to float above life's waves. They are here to swim through them, to sink into what others escape from, and to rise carrying pearls of knowledge no one else can touch. When the world tells them they are too sensitive, they smile quietly, because deep inside, they know something others do not. Sensitivity is not weakness. It is a language. It is the soul's most ancient form of intelligence. Through it, Cancer communicates directly with creation itself. They sense patterns of emotion, layers of spirit, and whispers of truth that words can never hold. Imagine being able to take grief and turn it into intuition, to transform fear into empathy and loneliness into art. That is Cancer's craft. It is emotional alchemy, the sacred transformation of shadow into light. Every tear they shed is not a sign of defeat, but a release, a ritual that cleanses what is heavy, so that they can carry more of what is holy. You see, Cancer does not seek control, they seek connection. And yet, their connection is so deep that it often feels unbearable. They sense the collective ache of humanity, the quiet despair behind polite smiles, the echo of ancient sorrow that still hums in the corners of the world. They are the emotional historians of the zodiac, the ones who remember what others forget, that to feel is to live, and to live is to love. But this knowledge demands a price. The path of emotional mastery is not walked in sunlight. It is carved through shadow, through moments of surrender where the only thing left to trust is faith itself. Cancer learns to let the pain wash over them until it reveals its lesson, until it becomes light. Every time Cancer rebuilds after heartbreak, the moon grows brighter within them. Every time they forgive what should have destroyed them, their spirit becomes stronger. They begin to understand that pain is not punishment, it is purification. It is the universe's way of teaching them how to transform energy, how to turn suffering into softness, and how to make compassion stronger than fear. Their emotions are not storms meant to drown them, they are baptisms. Through every fall, they rise more luminous, more aware, more divine. That is the secret the universe hid inside their tears, the power to rise again, not by forgetting what hurt them, but by turning it into wisdom that can heal others. So when Cancer walks through the world, quietly carrying the weight of hearts not their own, they are not broken, they are reborn. They are the living proof that emotion, when honored instead of feared, becomes creation itself. The moon within them does not reflect light by chance. It reflects every transformation, every wound turned into beauty, every darkness turned into dawn. Every warrior has armor, but Cancer's armor is invisible. It is not made of steel or stone, it is made of emotion. Their shell is crafted from years of unspoken feelings, quiet sacrifices, and promises kept even when no one was watching. To the world, they appear calm and caring, but inside that calmness lives a fortress built from every moment they have ever been hurt. Their protection is ancient. It begins the first time they are told they are too sensitive, the first time someone leaves when they needed to stay, the first time their love is mistaken for weakness. Each experience adds another layer to their invisible shell, another piece of sacred defense to keep the heart safe. But here is the paradox that only the moon can understand. The very shield that guards Cancer's heart also becomes their prison. The same intuition that warns them of danger also keeps them from letting others in. They begin to feel safest in isolation, hidden within the walls of their emotional sanctuary. It is quiet there, but it is also lonely. They long for deep connection, for that soul-level understanding that feels like home. Yet when someone reaches for them, their instincts whisper, "Be careful." They have learned to love from behind the walls, to give their energy to others while hiding their own vulnerability in the dark corners of their heart. Cancer's empathy is boundless, but it can also be self-consuming. They pour themselves into others until there is nothing left, hoping that by healing the world, they might heal themselves. But the truth is, no amount of care given to others can replace the love they withhold from themselves. Their armor is a reflection of their compassion, turned inward, a sacred act of self-preservation. Yet, it is also the reason they often feel unseen. People feel their warmth but rarely see their exhaustion. They receive the comfort, but not the silent cost behind it. Cancer's love is both medicine and wound. Still, within this paradox lives their greatest power: the ability to transform protection into purpose. When Cancer learns that boundaries are not walls but bridges that they can love deeply without losing themselves, something miraculous happens. The armor begins to glow instead of harden. It becomes radiant, not rigid. They start to realize that strength does not mean being untouched. True strength is feeling everything and still choosing love. Their shell becomes a sanctuary, not a cage, a space where they can retreat to restore their spirit without disappearing from the world. And when that transformation occurs, Cancer becomes unstoppable. Their emotions no longer control them. They guide them. Their sensitivity turns into strategy. Their compassion becomes clarity. They understand that they do not need to protect themselves from the world. They only need to protect their energy from those who do not value its sacredness. In this moment of awakening, their armor does not vanish. It evolves. It becomes translucent, letting light flow in both directions: love given and love received. The same heart that once feared breaking now beats with the rhythm of divine resilience. That is the hidden magic of Cancer's curse and its blessing. Their vulnerability is their victory. The shell they once hid behind becomes the symbol of their survival, the proof that even the most fragile soul can carry infinite strength when its purpose is love. And when the moon looks down upon them, she does not see a creature of defense. She sees a guardian of light, someone who has learned that protecting the heart does not mean closing it. It means learning to let it shine, even after every storm. There is something about Cancer that the world rarely speaks of, something that even those who practice the ancient arts approach with quiet respect. It is said that when a Cancer soul reaches its full awareness, they become more than human emotion, they become reflection itself. And that, my dear listener, is where the true secret lies. Cancers are mirrors of energy. They do not need to cast spells, chant words, or burn herbs to shift the unseen. Their very presence is an invocation. Whatever emotion is sent to them, they do not absorb it blindly. They transform it. If you send them love, it multiplies and returns tenfold. If you send them harm, it bends, twists, and comes back as a lesson that reveals the sender's own shadow. This is why witches whisper about them in reverence, not fear, but understanding. You cannot deceive a reflection. You cannot curse a mirror. Cancer does not fight energy. They reflect it. They are the moon's law of consequence, made human. The power of Cancer lies in their resonance with the Great Mother, the divine force that births worlds, nourishes them, and when the cycle ends, reclaims them. This maternal archetype is the essence of creation and destruction, of nurturing and purification. Cancer embodies this dual nature. They can heal with a touch, but they can also unmask truth with silence. Their energy nurtures what is genuine and dissolves what is false. And here is where the secret becomes sacred. Cancers do not just absorb emotion, they remember it. They carry the emotional DNA of every person they have ever loved, every place they have ever called home, every lifetime they have ever lived. This memory is not a burden, it is a spellbook written in feeling. Every sigh they breathe, every tear they shed, is a page in that spellbook. They have learned through experience that emotions are not fleeting. They are currency in the spiritual economy of the universe. They know that to feel deeply is to create energy that shapes reality. That is why witches who understand energy handle Cancer's presence with reverence, because Cancer's emotions do not fade. They ripple through time. Their power is cyclical, not linear. Like the moon that vanishes only to return, they too move through phases of expansion and retreat. When they withdraw, it is not weakness, it is recharging. When they re-emerge, they bring with them the wisdom of what they have seen in the dark. This is why those who attempt to harm them often find themselves changed. Not because Cancer retaliates, but because the mirror of their energy reflects truth back so clearly that it cannot be ignored. The one who tries to manipulate a Cancer ends up lost in their own illusion. The one who tries to control them finds themselves trapped in the web of their own motives. Cancer is governed by the moon's sacred law. What you send returns, purified through feeling. They are not judges, nor are they victims. They are conduits. They allow the flow of energy to complete its circle, and in that completion, balance is restored. And so, when a Cancer soul reaches full awakening, they begin to understand why they have felt so much, why they have been drawn to pain, and why they have always sensed what others could not. Their emotions were never random. They were the language of divine equilibrium. The moon made them instruments of karma, silent, gentle, but absolute in truth. To know a Cancer is to look into the mirror of your own spirit. They will show you what you love, what you fear, and what you still need to heal. That is why witches do not speak their name carelessly. They understand that the one ruled by the moon is not to be underestimated, because when the moon rises, nothing stays hidden. So when you meet a Cancer, remember this. You are not standing before a person who simply feels you are standing before a reflection of the universe's emotional memory. They are the pulse of the unseen, the guardian of sacred reciprocity, the proof that the heart is not just an organ, but an oracle. And that, perhaps, is the secret no witch wants you to discover. There comes a moment in every Cancer's journey when the tide no longer pulls them under but begins to rise beneath their feet. It is the moment they realize they were never meant to drown in emotion. They were meant to master it. Their feelings were never chains. They were the language of the divine. And now, that language begins to sing through them. Cancer awakens, not in noise, but in stillness. It begins quietly, almost invisibly, like the moon's light returning after a long night. They start to understand that their sensitivity is not a wound, but a weapon of grace. Every emotion they have ever felt, the sorrow, the love, the loss, the joy, becomes part of their sacred toolkit. They finally see that the very thing they once tried to hide is the key that unlocks their purpose. When Cancer learns to feel without being consumed, they step into their highest form of power. They no longer absorb emotions as burdens. They interpret them as messages. They become translators for the universe, speaking through intuition, compassion, and quiet knowing. What others call instinct is, for them, divine conversation. They stop asking, "Why do I feel this?" and begin asking, "What is this feeling trying to teach me?" That simple shift changes everything. They stop running from pain and start using it as a compass. Their tears become holy water, their silence becomes prayer, and their intuition becomes prophecy. In this new state, Cancer becomes a healer not through words, but through energy. When they walk into a room, the air changes. People calm down, hearts soften, and even the unseen begins to breathe easier. They do not fix others by force. They restore balance through presence. They remind the world what it has forgotten, that love is not just an emotion, it is vibration, it is medicine, it is creation itself. They begin to radiate a peace that comes from understanding the sacred rhythm of existence, that light and dark are not enemies but partners in the same eternal dance. They no longer fear their own depth, because they know that within that depth lies the reflection of God. Their empathy evolves into wisdom. Their compassion matures into clarity. They no longer confuse care with sacrifice, nor love with self-erasure. They start to honor their boundaries as sacred lines of light that protect their divine purpose. They no longer apologize for needing solitude, because they have learned that their power is renewed in stillness. In this awareness, they no longer wait for the world to recognize them. They recognize themselves. They no longer chase safety, they become safety. Their heart, once fragile, becomes a sanctuary where others can rest and heal. Their emotions, once overwhelming, become instruments of divine guidance. Cancer becomes the priestess of the tide, the one who feels everything yet is ruled by nothing. They no longer need to be understood because they understand. They no longer need validation because they remember. Their faith is no longer borrowed. It is built from their own journey through the storm. And this is when they realize something extraordinary, that every time they broke, they were not falling apart, they were being shaped. Every tear was a baptism. Every ending was a beginning. Every silence was a spell of renewal. The moon was never abandoning them. She was teaching them how to shine from within. In this awakening, Cancer becomes what they were always meant to be, a living bridge between heaven and earth. Their sensitivity becomes their compass, their compassion becomes their crown, and their intuition becomes their light. They no longer walk through life afraid of feeling too much. They walk with faith, knowing that to feel deeply is not a curse, but the greatest form of creation. Because when Cancer finally remembers who they are, the tides no longer control them, they command them. And with each new moon and every rising sun, they become living proof that no darkness is eternal, and no heart that loves deeply ever truly loses its light. The moon has guided us through shadows and light, through the hidden and the divine, and now, as her glow softens across the cosmic ocean, something inside you begins to remember. You are not just a reflection of the stars, you are made of the same light that births them. You are living proof that the human heart can break 1,000 times and still rise radiant, still love again, still carry grace where others would carry bitterness. Cancer, the sign of the moon, was never about fragility, it was about rebirth. Every tear you have ever shed was a spell of purification, every moment of silence a conversation between your soul and the infinite. You were not sent here to escape emotion, you were sent here to embody it, to teach the world that feeling is not weakness, but the foundation of spiritual evolution. When you love, you do not love halfway. When you forgive, you do not forget, you transform. You are the proof that the softest energy can move mountains, that the smallest gesture of empathy can echo through generations. You carry within you the power that turns pain into prayer, loss into light, and endings into sacred beginnings. And so, when the world misunderstands you, when it calls you too much, too emotional, too deep, remember that it only says so because it has forgotten how to feel. You, child of the moon, are here to remind humanity that sensitivity is not fragility. It is spiritual strength in its purest form. It is the pulse of creation itself. There is divine purpose in every wave that crashes against your heart. There is cosmic rhythm in every instinct you follow. And there is a silent truth in every tear that falls, a truth that says, I am still here, I am still glowing, I am still love. The dark truth about Cancer was never truly dark. It was misunderstood. Light, a light that shines so softly that only those who are willing to look inward can truly see it. The witches feared it not because it was dangerous, but because it was pure. Because within its silence lived a reflection of God's compassion, of nature's eternal balance, of life's unbreakable circle. When Cancer embraces that power, when you embrace your power, the world changes, the energy shifts. What was chaos becomes calm. What was confusion becomes clarity. What was fear becomes faith. You are not just guided by the moon. You are the moon, walking the earth in human form. So now, as this journey closes, let this truth echo in your soul. You are not defined by what broke you, but by what you built from the pieces. You are not a victim of emotion. You are a creator of meaning. You are not lost in your sensitivity. You are illuminated by it. You are both the wave and the shore, both the wound and the healer, both the question and the answer. And perhaps, When the next storm comes, when the tide rises high and the world feels too heavy again, you will remember this moment. You will remember that your light was never meant to be constant. It was meant to move, to change, to mirror the divine rhythm of life itself. So lift your head toward the night sky. Look at the moon, your eternal mirror. See how she waxes and wanes, how she disappears only to return brighter, fuller, stronger. That is you. That is your cycle. That is your truth. Never again call yourself fragile. You are not glass. You are water. You are the ocean that carved the cliffs, the tide that reshapes the shore, the rhythm that never ends. And if you ever doubt your light, remember this. Even when the moon is hidden, she still commands the waves. Thank you for walking through this journey, for feeling, for remembering, for awakening. If this message stirred something deep within your heart, if it reminded you of your sacred power, then let this energy continue to move through you. There is more to discover, more to remember, more light waiting beneath the next shadow. So stay with me, keep exploring. Watch the other stories waiting for you. Hear each one, a reflection, a mirror, a path back to your own divine truth. Because your journey is not ending here. It is only beginning.